I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Welcome to Comic Shop News. We're going to be celebrating Choptober. And I haven't done a lot for Choptober, unfortunately. I've kind of fallen behind. But I want to today start with the celebration of Halloween, doing the Chaos Comics Halloween #1 comic book, a little review and talk through of it. It is co-written by Daniel Farrands, who did the Curse of Michael Myers, Halloween 6. And it takes place, it actually kind of keeps all continuities in it. This takes place after H2O, and the whole Thorn trilogy happened. It exists. The series focuses on Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle is a writer now. He's kind of drawn like it's Paul Rudd. So the series starts out in Warren County, Illinois, and Tommy Doyle has contacted Michael Cyphers from County Records, and he's found Loomis's old files, and Tommy is going to write a book, and basically he's like, oh, perfect, with Dr. Loomis's notes, I can make this book fly, and maybe unearth some of Myers family secrets. And as Cyphers gets off the phone with Doyle, you see behind him a knife appear. And we start off with some of Dr. Loomis's notes as the knife is approaching. November 5th, 1963. I met Michael for the first time today. I'd been told there's nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding. It's even the most rudimentary sense. I can't do a good Donald Pleasance, unfortunately. Of life or death, good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank face, pale, motionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. And as they're going through it, he is impaling Michael Cyphers. And Michael is then looking at a picture from the files, and it's of Judith in her panties, lying in blood. And then it flashes back to the scene of her boyfriend over there. And it's the beginning of Halloween 1978. And they show him doing the walk of shame down the stairs, the boyfriend, and then Michael going up there and stabbing his sister. Tommy walks in, he's, announces, hey, it's Tommy. He finds the files on the desk. Officer comes in. In the shadow of the door that's open, you'll see Michael Myers' mask popping out a little bit. The rent-a-cop, escorts him out. And then we see as the door closes, Cyphers is pinned to the door with a knife through the neck. And Michael is looking up at it. We then move into Haddonfield 3 hours later, and we're at Tommy's house. And he's reading the files, and it's, saying, I'll never forget my first session with Michael. They were right. It seemed there was nothing left of the boy. And it's one of their, and in it, they have Loomis talking to the Dr. Carpenter. And he's saying Michael should be in a private room, give him a play area for therapeutic reasons, of course. And the doctor's like, this is a sanitarium for the insane, not summer camp for naughty little boys. And in the sanitarium, some of the other boys in there's a character named Blair. He's almost as withdrawn as Michael, and like Michael had killed his sister. Adrian, an idiot savant with an eating compulsion, whom the others called Donut. Roger, who's a biblical expert and a self-mutilator, and then Tony O'Malley, a violent psychopath. O'Malley, the first day, starts threatening Michael, saying, "You stupid, you a dummy kid." The orderly pulls him off of Michael. We go to one of the sessions with Dr. Loomis, and he tells Michael to draw whatever he wants. Loomis gets a call. It's Mrs. Myers, and by the time he turns around, Michael has drawn his family with a dead sister and a knife in the hand. And in there, we move on to one of the nights in the sanitarium, and the other boys in the sanitarium with Michael, and one of them says he's going to make Myers talk and make him cry like a little girl. And then later you hear a screaming, and O'Malley now has a crayon in his eye. Dr. Loomis becomes romantically involved with another doctor who wants to help him get Michael moved to a private session. One by one, the other boys in the wing with Michael, weird things happen. The one boy, Wade, who has the eating compulsion, it was Michael's birthday, and he takes Michael's cake and eats it. Later on in the shower, he gets scalded and dies. And of course, no one sees Michael, can blame him. The boy dies. As this is going on, Tommy is, reading, kind of getting spooked. Phone rings, he answers it, says hello, hello, click. He's like, just my imagination spooking myself. And outside you see a sanitarium van, and Michael outside on the front lawn. And more the patients become very crazed because of him being around. Roger commits suicide. He bit off his own tongue and choked on it. O'Malley became increasingly delusional and violent, but turned that violence against himself. He was confined to a padded room. By this point, Loomis has become engaged to the other doctor, and Carpenter decides to have a Halloween party. Michael is dressed as a clown, of course, with this blank white mask on. And they're playing, what the hell's that game? The Ring Around. Basically, it's the chair game with the last one. The person doesn't get in the seat, gets kicked out. This girl dressed as a witch says Michael's got cooties, odd man out. And of course, you get the blank stare back. She's bobbing for apples, and the power goes out for a minute, and they find her in the barrel, drowned. Loomis freaks out, and he starts screaming at him like, "How did you do it? You are the devil! Damn you, Michael! Say something! Sam!" So Michael at this point, again, just sitting with a blank stare. Loomis goes out to go for a walk, and she thinks she sees Michael, and he's going up the stairs. She's, saying, "Stop, whoever you are, come here." She goes out, and she falls off the roof. Loomis finds her body completely contorted, and we get more of the Loomis ranting at him. "You fooled them, haven't you? But no. But not me. No, I know. I know, Michael, you're the devil." And more, and in the notes he says, "I knew then that Michael was my destiny. I ceased to be his caretaker and vowed to be his gatekeeper, to keep him locked away, but how do you contain evil?" And Tommy's like, "I'm tired, but this is great stuff. Got to make some coffee, keep reading." And he notices the time, it's Halloween. He's drinking coffee and Jack, what he calls the writer's diet. And all of a sudden the door busts open, and it's Michael, and he's screaming, "You, it can't be. You're dead. I killed you." Pulls a gun out, shoots Michael. They show the bullets going straight through his chest and out the back. He bitch smacks Tommy, and the gun goes away, gets knocked out of his hand. He hits his head. And then he throws the bottle of Jack, breaks it over Michael's head, and then takes a lighter and lights his head on fire. Screams, "Son of a bitch, die." and Michael falls out the window. And by the time Tommy goes to the window, body's gone. And he's saying, "You son of a bitch, wherever you are, I'm going to find you. And I'm finally going to kill you." And that is the end of the issue. There is a nice little, at the end of the issue, of I want to say, I think it's Daniel Farrands, or anyway, it's talking about how, yeah, it's Phil Nutman talks about his first time watching Halloween. He was the co-writer on this. Really like this series. It gets better as it goes on, and there is a twist by the third issue. I'm going to do one issue at a time to kind of let it breathe a little bit, because I feel each issue kind of deserves its own, because each kind of touches a different part of the timeline. They're incredibly hard to hunt these issues down. They're very, very expensive. Chaos didn't exactly put out large print runs, and it was during that time that Halloween wasn't as big. It kind of had some downtime. I'm gonna give this issue an 8 out of 10. Again, I was like starving for anything Halloween, and it did a good job of kind of putting a little bit together, and also that stuff with Loomis in the sanitarium with Michael in the early days. If you didn't have that original novel by Curtis Richards, you missed out on a lot of the sanitarium stuff. So this does a good job of filling in some of that stuff. Of course, they added the love interest for Loomis, which was not in the book, but it makes a nice twist and gave him a little bit more reason why he'd hate Michael. Fantastic issue. The art actually in the first issue by Brewer was not the best. It actually gets better in issue 2 and 3. If you can somehow find them on digital somewhere, or even find beaten up reader copies, totally worth it. So I'd like to thank you for joining me, and hopefully you will be able to read these at some point. They're really great. Again, I'm a huge Halloween fan, and this is some of the best Loomis stuff in his diaries. And I wish you all a happy Halloween. Bye-bye.